At one time, an imposing figure in MMA, he is at this point at the center of one of the most dramatic downfalls in the history of combat sports. A man who has tangled toe-to-toe with legends within the octagon is now causing headlines of all the wrong kind. Meth use, crazy acts at gas pumps, and a scandalous tale of kidnapping and being taken to rehab in Mexico. Is it kidnapping, though, or will it be his final attempt at survival? We are moving today into the strange, sloppy, tragic roller coaster ride of Nick Diaz.
Please welcome Nick Diaz!
And he got into the octagon. And the first thing he does, he gets into the octagon. He looks over at Robbie, he goes, "Stockton, motherfucker! Stockton!" And he starts walking around, "Stockton, mother..." And Robbie's like, what the fuck is he talking about?
He's very skilled, a fantastic grappler, unbelievable boxing, insane cardio. He's got all the things that could give a lot of guys problems in the welterweight division.
He's a fascinating guy. I'm fascinated by him. I've been in this business forever. I've been in this business forever. I've dealt with every guy you can possibly deal with. And this kid is fascinating, you know? I don't want to give you a Nick Diaz answer on this one. I want to give you something. You ask him questions, he knows the answer. But fuck you.
I do. This isn't a joke. I'm not staging a little act. This is not for fun. This is not a side thing. This is all I got.
Nick Diaz was not just another fighter, he was an icon of pure autonomy. His unfiltered nature, timeless cardio, and the Stockton slap were all popular with fans. However, at some point up the road, the glory days began to wear out. Nick is no longer known as a war veteran who fought classic wars against GSP and Anderson Silva. Over the recent years, he has been caught roaming gas stations, behaving in a crazy manner, and even being reportedly addicted to meth. That is the unfortunate irony that fighters who used to inspire millions of people can be at their worst when the light isn't shining on them. To Diaz, street toughness, which made him invincible, has become his adversary. The video clips of him apparently lost and unstable stole the MMA world by showing that addiction does not discriminate whether a person is an iconic figure of the UFC or a regular human being. This was the initial noticeable indication that the life of Nick on the outside of the cage was getting out of control, and he could not save himself through mere use of his fists. The whole situation became horrifying after Nick alleged girlfriend Kay wrote on the internet that Nick had been forcefully drugged, kidnapped by his cousin Ruben, and taken to a rehab center in Mexico. She said Nick was attempting to escape and was drugged by Mexican authorities and was cut off. Sounds like a movie, right? But this is where it gets weird. Nick's family and longtime coaches were quick to assert that he was safe, alive, and it finally came to help. His cousin Ruben was seemingly seeing him every day, and his recovery coaches were sharing photos of Nick training and smiling in rehab. So who's telling the truth? Was this a desperate girlfriend attempting to make herself look like his sole support, or was Nick really being held against his will? But in either case, Nick had left his inner circle in shambles, and his addiction the source of a disorder within and beyond the cage, which the so-called Mexico rehab scandal was throwing into disarray. In the middle of this epic is a violent conflict between his former girlfriend Kay and his family. Kay painted herself as the closest person to Nick and said that they had spent the time together in everything, and even said that she was his family, not his blood family members. She claimed that Ruben had drugged Nick and cursed his family that he had left him. Nick, however, appears to have coaches, friends, and even his own brother, Nate Diaz, on the wrong side. Cesar Gracie, who had been a prominent mentor to Nick, reassured Nick that he was safe publicly and mocked the rumors about him being kidnapped. Recovery coach Jose Garcia even referred to Kay as a liar, exposing her personal information of her homelessness and sex work. The family versus girlfriend drama was being unraveled on Instagram like a show to everybody, and people wondered who was in the best interest of Nick. Was it on his behalf that Kay was fighting, or on the ground that she wished to retain her hold on his disordered life? Nevertheless, it is reported that Nate is secretly contributing to the rehab of Nick, even though he keeps a low profile. And that is the tragedy of the situation. The family ties put to the test by addiction. Nate developed a career of his own, but he never forgot Nick, who was his role model. But their relationship now appears more cold than ever. Was this only the burden of living with an addiction, or has something more pulled them apart? In any case, the fact that the Diaz brothers, once the most dangerous duo in MMA, are becoming a distant reality is another sad episode in the decline of Nick. The spirit of fighting is there, though the unity appears to be ruined. Beneath all the Instagram drama, family feuds, and rehab rumors is the ugly truth. Nick Diaz is an addict. It has been reported that meth was his drug of choice, and videos of his unstable behavior are unfortunately supportive. It doesn't simply ruin the addict, but spreads throughout his or her surrounding. Friends, family, teammates, they are all caught in the crossfire. And to warriors such as Nick, the shift between the order of a formal training camp and the disorder of freedom is usually disastrous for them. In the absence of the cage, the discipline, the streets, and substances are in control. For fans, it's heartbreaking. It is the same man who survived 5-round wars who now can hardly manage to survive daily life. It does not matter how hard you are or how popular you have become, addiction just wants to pull you further. And until Nick is willing to accept assistance, neither rehab center, UFC funding, or family drama can help him to save himself. So did Nick get kidnapped, or did he get saved? There is likely to be some truth in between. Yes, it sounds extreme, even unlawful, to take a person across the border against his or her will. However, sometimes relatives go extreme when they think the life of one is at stake. It is possible that Nick's friends and family did the wrong thing to do the right thing. Conversely, the actions of Kay cast grave doubts about her character. Her inconsistency, her dubious intentions, and the fact that the inner circle of Nick does not trust her indicates that she may have been doing the wrong thing at the wrong time. The bottom line, however, is not who appears better on the internet, but whether or not Nick can get rid of his addiction. His only lifeline may be rehab, which will be voluntary or forced. However, when he refuses, the sad ending of Nick Diaz might only go through, and this time, the comeback story will not be there in the octagon. It is not just a story of a fighter as Nick Diaz collapses, but a story of a human being, a UFC legend who was earlier on cheered his hardiness, now will be battling his hardest fight on the outside. Meth rumors, forced rehab in Mexico, a girlfriend painting herself the hero, family members calling her a liar. All this makes the situation messy, tragic, and full of questions that no one can answer. Yet there is one thing that is very evident. Nick Diaz is at a crossroad. Will he keep on the self-destructive road of addiction, or will he finally accept assistance, albeit in a manner that he did not prefer? There is still hope among the fans that they will come back not to the octagon, but in life itself. Championships pass, but at the close of the day, it is survival that is the true struggle. So what do you think? Is Nick the victim, or is this intervention his only hope of coming back to life?